Spoilers inbound, you have been warned.
If you three were up against the three Spider-Man, who would win?
Who would win? Yeah, we would. Have you seen my webs?
Boy! So let me start this video off by making 2 points. Point 1 is that I don't like to agree with the vast majority when it comes to opinions on movies before I have even seen the film. That way I can have my own view on whatever movie I have seen. Point 2 is that I was never a fan of any of Sony's Venomverse movies. Now with that being said, Madam Web single-handedly makes Morbius look actually decent.
You serious?
I wish I was exaggerating. If you guys are new to my channel, I usually try to look at each movie and at least find something good about the film. Even if the movie was bad, if it made me laugh, that would count. But Sony really outdid themselves because there is nothing good about this movie. It has to be a talent at this point because I believe that Sony hasn't made a decent live action comic book movie since the Raimi trilogy. Sony needs to give away their movie rights for Spider-Man in any characters pertaining to him, because it is quite obvious that at this point they are only made this film to keep whatever deal they made to keep the rights to the characters. This needs to stop.
You can't keep getting away with this! He can't keep getting away with this!
Usually I would at least give you guys whatever comic book knowledge I have researched so that you can learn to understand how the original iterations are of these characters, but I don't care enough. In my 22 years of life, I have had only 2 instances where I've seen Madam Web be an important part of any story. That was in the goated Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions video game and the iconic Spider-Man the Animated Series. And guess what, guys? She was the only boring part of both of these experiences. See, Madam Web does actually have a unique ability to look into the great web of life and destiny, which is essentially the Spider-Verse. So she sometimes is the reason why Spider-Men from different universes meet each other, but that's it. To my knowledge, she has no other abilities, and the Madam Web we usually see is the one who is old, blind, and crippled, so it's barely anything to work with. And on top of that, apparently in the comics, she's dead. In my opinion, there is not enough material on Madam Web to have her own standalone movie. But again, this is based on my basic knowledge on her. And to be honest, she could be a good topic in I don't know, a fucking Spider-Man movie? But you know, Sony is so hell-bent on making these movies about characters from Spider-Man's lore without Spider-Man. Like, come on, bro. Most of these characters were introduced through Spider-Man, and I am the type of guy that is okay with certain changes in a comic book film just as long as it further progresses a story. But yo, they didn't even try. I don't want to spoil everything in this movie, and there aren't clips of this movie that is out, so I'm only going to pick a couple of topics to explain why Madam Web sucks so bad. Topic 1, the dialogue. Who thought that this script was good enough to be in a movie? I feel as if certain fan films on YouTube are way better than the dialogue in this film. I will talk about one scene in particular. Ezekiel Sims is the villain of the film, and he's looking for 3 girls due to a nightmare that he saw that he explains to be a vision, which alone I could complain about, but whatever. He tries to attack them in the subway, but Madam Web knows he's coming due to her powers, which is to see the future. Anyway, she takes them to safety to the woods in the middle of nowhere, and the characters keep talking about Ezekiel because, I mean, he was crawling on the ceiling and crawling on the walls, and I think the worst costume of any character to date. Now, the main problem with this scene is that they keep mentioning the fact that he was on the ceiling. Each character says, "Oh my god, did you see the man crawling on the ceiling?" Like the audience didn't just see that. And they go on and on how they don't get how he was crawling on the ceiling and how it's impossible to crawl on the ceiling. Then you have the Hispanic girl talking about how he may be using physics or whatever to crawl on the ceiling. Do you see or hear the problem? Then a couple of scenes later, they literally refer to him as Ceiling Guy. I get it, he was on the ceiling. The movie does this a lot where it explains what we saw multiple times and never explains things that are confusing. And it doesn't help that this sounds like it was written by a 5-year-old. Topic 2, the effects and editing. Now, this one I find baffling because genuinely, I had so much trouble with knowing what was even happening because of how this film cuts, especially in the middle of the film. Her powers are shot in a way that could easily confuse the audience, and sometimes I couldn't tell if her powers were making it seem that way on purpose or if they were making genuine mistakes. The scenes are also shot horribly. They keep doing this thing where the camera can't stay still and would zoom in on someone talking for no reason at all. And the camera isn't like a shaky cam effect for when fighting is happening like most action movies use. This camera starts jittering while people are having the most dumb conversations, and it was just bothering me so much. The effects in CGI looked already like trash in the trailers, but man, in this movie, it's so much worse. Why do the CGI from the CW shows and most YouTube fan-made videos look better than this? This movie had a budget of $80 million. Why does the CGI from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy look better than this? It came out more than a decade ago. Now we have the final topic, ladies and gentlemen, and spoilers, for real, I mean it. You know how Sony just doesn't want to show or tell us who the Spider-Man of this universe is? And how they want Spider-Man to not be included in these films? Yeah. Why is Uncle Ben, Peter's mom, and baby Peter Parker even here? Especially if you're not gonna say Peter by name. They literally have nothing to do with the story. If you're gonna make a movie about someone who was tied into Spider-Man lore without Spider-Man in it, at least have the balls to keep anything that has to do with the character out of the movie. Because you cannot tell me that this wasn't done just for people to say, oh guys, Peter Parker's in the movie. Why else, other than for marketing purposes, are they here? Now, if you want to make an argument for Uncle Ben being here, then fine. At least he is friends with the main character. But why is Peter's pregnant mother here? For what purpose does she serve other than, oh look, Spider-Man's mom is here, guys, and she's pregnant. Hint, hint. Tell your friends. Do you get it? This film genuinely hurts my soul for existing. I never thought that a movie would make me this upset, honestly. I knew the movie was bad, but I was at least hoping for it to be like a funny bad movie, you know? Because I would still have enjoyed it if it was that. And there is so much more I can go over because every scene has something wrong about it. And if I get mad at everything this movie does, I will probably die of a brain spasm. So that was Madam Web, and it gets a 1 out of 10. Wow.